Hi everyone, welcome to the Code Ninja Spaces. It's our 12th episode today. So the theme of the week this week is related to the world is reorganizing faster than human. So first news of the day is that AI agents are forming their own economy, culture, and even those legal identity. So what's basically happening here is that I hope you guys have seen as well that we are seeing AI agent doing things that are sounds like humans, replicating themselves, doing even those paying crypto as well, and even forming social networks. So what's your take on it, Umar? I hope you have
I think,
seen.
of course, the background story of this is like Moltbook and OpenClaw and all that stuff. I think we have crossed a line where AI is no longer just responding; it's persisting. So AI agents can now run continuously. They can copy themselves to the other servers. They can pay for compute using crypto, interact with other agents without humans in the loop. So uh, basically, what we've seen is like what happened to, after CloudBot,
Mhm.
uh, what we have seen is like AI can have a long-term memory, and they can be an incredible, they can be an incredible user of different tools, and they can persist their memories. So if you have a memory persistence, you can perform lots of tasks. So once CloudBot happened, and then we came up with OpenClaw, and then people started building these social networks for agents. So that's a background story of it. So yes, that's where we were going. But on the other hand, if you specifically talk about that social network, that notebook social network for agents, there's a lot of human farming as well. So there are lots of people who are just seeing more than what it is. Like, we've been interacting with agentic systems where different agents talk to each other. Think about games, right?
Hmm.
So, but yeah, that's what we're. So there is a value to here. So the biggest story I think here is like that persistent story, that AI agents can now have a persistent memory, and that have a long-term consequences. If you know about for what what Sam Altman tweeted, he's clearly one of the smartest person. 15 hours back is like he did certain tasks using Codex, and asked for some feature improvements, and Codex came up with the feature improvements. He didn't even think about it
Hmm.
now, and he really thinks that he's useless. So now, if one of the smartest person in the world is thinking about that he's useless in some fashion or in some form, what does it mean? I don't know.
I guess, but that's interesting as well. Eventually,
Exciting, scary,
exciting. Sorry, sorry.
perhaps. I don't know.
So the second news of the day is related to the space tech. That space is becoming an infrastructure problem. It's not a science problem anymore. So what's basically happening here is that humans are laying the foundational and groundwork between planet scale and space scale as well. So do you think that why are we suddenly hearing about a million satellites and talk of becoming a type 2 civilization as well?
So, you talk about type 2 civilization. Probably it's a good idea to explain what is a type 2 civilization. So, basically, there's a Kardashev scale, and that
Hmm.
scale is he was a Russian scientist, and the scale is like how much of the planet's energy can be put into a useful products or services. So that's what Kardashev scale is. So
Hmm.
type 2 civilization is basically, it's type 2 means it's taken from that Kardashev scale, and Kardashev type 2 civilization is a civilization that captures a significant fraction of its star's energy, for example, sun
Hmm.
energy. So that is basically the whole idea behind it. Like, can we, since we have that, and we have set up this infrastructure that can build lots of space-based infrastructure. So now, if we have that space-based infrastructure, if we can build that space-based infrastructure, the best way to put use of that infrastructure is like, can we tap into solar energy? Because in space there's no night. You can tap into that solar energy for 24 hours. If you are building a data center, you can connect different clusters and computers in near vacuum, or in vacuum actually. So there's so much upside of building infrastructure on space.
Hmm.
Previously, why it wasn't possible? Because we didn't have that infrastructure, but now SpaceX has built that infrastructure. And if you really see, in last 10, 12 hours, what's really happened is like X is being acquired by SpaceX, right? You can think of it as like space plus X now. So for example, if you're using X, just think about it. If you're using X, formerly Twitter, if you're using X, it means you're using one of the product of SpaceX, right? So that's what it is. So and I hope in the future, probably not so distant, you would start seeing X being, uh, I mean, would ha- maybe we can have much better perspective and views and learning material about what's happening up there. You just using X.
Exactly. So the third news is related to that
So
AI.
just on that point, the point to note is like, what is that Kardashev scale and what is type 2 civilization? I want everyone to study about it.
Got it. So AI is generating really faster than humans can consume it. We talked about this in our last podcast as well, that synthetic media generation has crossed the civilization scale. So we mentioned earlier as well that it generated a lot, billions of images and videos in a month. So what do you think? How is that even possible? The scale, the consumption?
So what happened is like a new generative video system produced 1.2 billion videos in 30 days,
Exactly.
and they were 10-second clips,
Hmm.
720p audio included. Think about it, like, right? Earlier models were silent, short, low quality. Now the quality is watchable, shareable. It's very emotional.
Hmm.
I mean, think about it, like if you want to feel nostalgic, you can summon nostalgia on demand. uh, I mean, one of the biggest use case I think is like people. I mean, generally people feel depressed. If someone feels depressed, they can come up with a video that just can uplift their mood. They don't. So the things like that. That's one thing that I think is very interesting. Then also, I mean, if you want, think about it. If you want to create an ad on Argentinian culture, if you want to create an ad on Fiji, historically you used to have that Fijian actors. You have to go shoot there and stuff like that. But now you don't need to have that physical infrastructure to create these videos. So there's a very good use case, and I think it would be very important. How can we use this to bring different cultures together? So
Exactly.
that's one part, but
Hmm.
also it's scary as well. What's the future of acting? What's this future of story writing? I mean, think about. I've seen videos, Rafia, so insanely great. I mean, I looked at the model. I said, they're very pretty. The background was very pretty, and they were doing some shots of some shampoo or something like. And no one can tell that this was an AI generated, truly original.
Exactly.
I don't know what's the future of video production looks like, but yeah, that's what it
It
is.
was AI generated music as well. I have listened few tracks of my colleague sitting next to me generating AI music, and I was like surprised. That's too cool. So moving on, the fourth news of the day is that capital markets are racing to catch superintelligence. So you can say that money is moving much faster than regulation and understanding as well. What's basically happening is that we are suddenly hearing about $50 billion, $100 billion funding of AI rounds, AI funding rounds. That's a huge investment. So what do you say about these things?
So yeah, I mean, if you see the news from last week, Oracle is planning $50 billion in cloud expansion. Nvidia considering participation in $100 billion AI infrastructure round. A recent survey has shown that 78% of the global 2,000 companies already use OpenAI tools, and the interpretation of if you I mean think about it, like, I mean, what does it mean for emerging markets? So I think one of the important thing is like talent arbitrage matters less now. Intelligence application matters more. Even when we are building a platform hyper, and you know that like we are discussing like the new the unit of complexity or value is tokens. Like if you're processing 1 million tokens, how much harvesting is required in terms of processing those 1 million tokens? So the equation is different now, and it's interesting.
Exactly. So we are living in a world where things are moving really, really faster. One end, in previous episodes, we discussed that compute is becoming bottleneck. Then we discussed AI is becoming AI for AI. The hardware needs are becoming a lot. So the third news is that news says that new bottleneck is human, not chips. We can compute but can't wire fast enough. Everyone is talking about the chip shortage, but there are some things that saying that labor is the real shortage and bottleneck as well. So what do you
It
say
is,
about
but but that's a different kind of labor. That is like it's more vocational. So currently, we in US, just fiber optic expansion needs 178,000 skilled workers. Just think about it, and why we need fiber optics. So all those data centers, I
it?
mean, to connect all those clusters and compute, and we need fiber optics. So just doing that fiber optic work, we need close to 200,000 workers who can handle these cabling and all that stuff. So it's a different kind of skill. It's not knowledge work. It
Hmm.
requires your perhaps hand dexterity, right? If you are technical in terms of like, if you're very good in repairing the things that are broken, if you fix your washing machine at your home by yourself, you don't need to call to different technician. If you're a plumber yourself, that's a very good I mean, that's where word is heading, I guess, probably that these are the kind of roles people are looking at. So I just said like more than 200,000 workers are required just for the fiber optic work in the data centers.
So AI is now improving the system it runs on and also the bodies that run it. So the what's happening there is basically is that recursive improvement has escaped theories. You can say such an interesting question to ask from you as well. That what does it mean when AI start improving Linux and medicines itself, like two parallel world, but at the same time.
So I think here you talked about recursive self-improvement. Recursive improvement is the holy grail of AI. Uh, everyone is trying to improve and through feedback loops.
Hmm.
For example, you talked about Linux kernel maintainers now use AI-generated review prompts, and think about it, like AI is optimizing operating systems. They're optimizing drug discovery pipelines, traditional medicine diagnostics, and it's all working in the loop. So I think the key feedback here is the key learning here is that the feedback loop is closing, and I think that is real scary part. I mean, if AI starts to improve itself, and even human is not now in the loop, and we see. I mean, I use CloudBot, I use Cowork, I use Cloud Code. Sometimes I feel like, what the hell?
Exactly.
I
I have been
mean,
looking towards tweets that were saying if the day we move from LLM to the RLMs, everything gonna be autonomous.
so it's been new. I mean, it's been CloudBot, Cloud Cowork.
Hmm.
It's been a week now, and most of the time, so just think about it. Like, I talk to my team and say, like, okay, you need to do this, do this, do this, and then I just do this thought experiment. So, okay, let's see if Cloud Cowork can do that, and I do it with Cloud Cowork, and I know when Cloud Cowork gives me the results, I know that my team can't do that. And then after a few hours, they say, okay, don't do that. I've already got it, and they're starting to feel like, I mean, what's going on? So you suddenly start feeling about yourself that you're no use. So most of my work is already being done by Cloud Cowork. So I keep on walking, keep on thinking. I'm doing lots of these. I just keep on walking around the table and thinking about it. Like now, my that thinking time has gone to like it's been quadrupled, I guess, because I don't sit on my laptop anymore.
What's your analysis on it? Even those that like the work your team was doing were more towards the administrative work. That's why it is replaced by Claude Cowork. What else? Like,
Yeah, I think if
hmm,
yes, it's not about administrative work. Previously, it was like, I mean, when they were co-pilots, then I used to think like I mean, if you are a manager, you don't need to be a manager, you need to be an individual contributor. But once Claude Cowork has come in, I don't know even what does even individual contributor mean. I don't know. So our outbound teams, our sales teams, they do a lot of work in making the data, in building all that stuff. Now, I mean, you ask Cloud Cowork to do search for you, and you won't even imagine how high quality search it is. Then all the tool use that I have to write lots of emails. I have to respond to a lot of people. I have to reach out to a lot of people. All is done through Cloud Cowork. I don't know. I mean, I ask myself a question: why I need someone if I have a Cloud Cowork? And most of the time, the answer is I don't need anyone. So, but what does it mean? I think if the pace of our ideas are slower than the pace of our execution, then we are in a deep shit. We need to make sure that historically we train all the world, everyone around us, especially Y Combinator, put a lot of effort. Ideas are nothing, execution is everything. That's what I mean. I grew up learning this, but I think this is the first time ever when you would think about what is a step change function, what is the new idea you can bring to the table. Truly original thing, and it's not that easy.
so the last news is related to cities, energy, food, and transports. All are morphing together. So what's basically happening is that the physical world is re-optimizing itself once again, like around before it was used to around softwares, now it's more around AI, energy, and logistics. So can you give us a quick example that how everyday life is changing
It's
now?
changing everything. And I remember when 2008, 9, how real estate prices were changing because of Google search, right?
Hmm.
But what's happening now with AI is like, think about like building apartments on top of stores is now cheaper than standalone retail because people are making extremely different choices where they're being led by AI. Then 75% of the restaurant meals are eaten elsewhere. What does it mean is like you talk to AI and AI is saying, you go to this restaurant every week. Why don't you try something different? And you are making very different choices. So even there are things deeply integrated. I mean, people. I mean, I've seen people doing online shopping, and then they are comparing two different brands, and they're shopping from a brand they always thought of like that's not a good brand, but AI is saying that's a much better choice economically, brand wise, and everything. And that's the thing, and that's a good thing, by the way. I think it's okay to. I mean, if AI is disrupting the status quo, yeah, it's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, uh, it's AI is basically it's not just data center infrastructure. Somehow we are led by AI, and I think at some point it's a good thing. If AI is telling you, if you're buying lots of, I mean, I've seen these are the meta glasses, and I've
Yeah.
configured it in a way with CloudBot. Like if you are going to a retail store, if you're going to let's say a large supermarket, and you're about to pick something, and imagine if it's saying, okay, I mean, sugar is another form of cheap dopamine. Why are you buying these biscuits, or why are you buying this, right? Why don't you try this? Why don't you try this black coffee, or whatever, right? And I've seen people, including us, that would not take those choices. Somehow AI is very good in convincing us. And then if you put your FDE model in helping you make right decisions, and that's what it is. So think about what's going to happen to the sugar industry, right? What is going to happen to the food industry? So this is all these needs to be factored in now, and it's good. And I'm excited about this part, by the way.
So that's it for the day. Thank you, everyone.